Hello. Tonight's game is Mask of the Rose. Let's begin. Your first foray into Mask of the Rose is unlikely to end as happily as you might hope. Never mind. Savor your successes. Delight in your disasters. Try again, wiser in the ways of the Neath. The city is thick with secrets, but they can't hide from you. In February 1862, with no warning at all, London fell through the surface of the earth. This was meant to be a year of progress and industry. The Great Exposition, trams, a new sewer system. Instead, we find ourselves dwelling in a cave. It's October now. The fires have been put out. The bodies have been buried. But the future remains unimaginable. The time before, impossibly distant. The past. Who were you? A dockworker's child. My father worked the docks unloading ships. My uncle was a sailor. We were on the right side of the law, but the same couldn't always be said for our friends. The docks are allied with the working class and with criminals. A child of the gentry. My family had an estate on the surface. My father was a magistrate. All that is unreachable now, of course. I had the bad fortune to be in London during the fall, and now there is no going back, but I do have a few connections here. The landed gentry hobnob in high society and with the constabulary. A tailor. My family kept a tailoring shop with aspirations. We dressed our customers better than we dressed ourselves. Shopkeepers have contacts with society, but their own origins are more humble. They may also have some contacts among the artistically inclined. A housebreaker's child. My father was a housebreaker. His father was a highwayman. We came down in the world, no longer doing our crimes on horseback. And then my father was arrested. This situation furnishes some connections, not always friendly, on both sides of the law. An undertaker. My family were undertakers. We knew everything there was to know about procuring hearses, hiring mourners, and dressing a body. Undertakers have some society contacts, and they know their share of vicars. An arcane academic. I studied esoteric writings, the hierarchies of spirits, the language of angels, the practical powers of creation. I have friends in high places and am familiar with the Church's ways, whether I agree with it or not. Okay, let's do one we haven't done yet. The Undertaker. That's me. Down here, your name is whatever you say it is. Often there's no one left to remember who you used to be. Some people hold tight to the names they carried before. Some reinvent themselves completely. I prefer strangers to address me as. Officer Stewart. That's me. Stewart to my friends. Officer to strangers. I'm a different person down here than I was above. In the Neath, a true ally means everything. When I find people to be close to, I am open to whatever comes my way. I'll be looking for both romantic feelings and a physical connection. Friendship and matchmaking are possible too, of course. Let's change our title to something that better suits an undertaker. Dr. Stewart. We are an undertaker. Our heart's desire is passionate romance. I'm happy with this. Right now, I'm meant to be helping with the census, finding out who still lives in my neighborhood. The first census results are due tomorrow. If I turn them in, I get paid, the first money to come my way in nearly 2 months. If I don't, I'm going to disappoint Greece badly. She knew I was in trouble, so she went out of her way to find me work with her own employers. She even gave me a badge to show my affiliation. Badge of the Ministry of Accounting and Recounting. The front of the badge looks almost like a constable's badge, with the lion and unicorn emblazoned on it. The back of the badge has some kind of symbol I don't recognize, hot to the touch. For those who know, that is the correspondence. I keep it with the clothes I have from before the fall, and a few odd items I found more recently. Not a very sophisticated look. Not much of a look at all. Or we can get the fake but vibrant corsage. The most obvious thing about this flower is that it is extremely fake, perfect for going out on the town, boasting and gallivanting. Or without decoration. Where I'm going, I might not want to declare any particular affiliation. The torso, coatless, what I'm already wearing will do, or a black coat, suitable for funeral processions and the attendance of graves. Wearing it makes me more conscious of grim truths, but also better able to lend comfort. That'll do. Welcome to your attic. From here you may explore the city, recall the past, change your outfit, and more as the story unfolds. The game will save each time you return here, indicated by this notification. Host a visitor before bed. Ah, I thought you were up here. She glances at the badge I'm wearing. I suppose I should be glad you're thinking about the census, even if you didn't get around to leaving the house. I react to that the way I react to many things these days. I turn it into a joke. I thought I'd wait for a change in the weather. A lovely snow, perhaps? There's no sunshine down here. There are no yellow pea soup fogs. There's no rain, except occasionally a fine mist. Londoners lost half our topics of conversation when we fell. Come tomorrow evening. We need to have at least a few census forms filled out. Or I'm going to be the one explaining to Mr. Pages. And if that happens, I'm not going to help you with your employment prospects again. Grease works for the Ministry of Accounting and Recounting. Seems to agree with her. She wears trousers to work and comes home at all hours. It's very important to her, being taken seriously by these employers. The next thing I do is characteristic too. I wouldn't worry. I've seen some of the other specimens that work in that part of town. The Ministry will be counting itself lucky to hire anyone that doesn't pick pockets in their spare time. Grace's employers are unusual. She says she's never seen their faces. I think they've met a lot of unusual people. What do you think of the questions? In the most peculiar spiked handwriting, and there are punctures in the paper in random spots. Goodness, is that how you write? My governess used to say that if penmanship ought to be bold, free, and elegant, I'd only got as far as lesson 1. But that is not a sample of my own work. My employers wrote out the list themselves. The Ministry is short of clerks. Here, try the questions on me. Say you've just knocked on the door, and I have come to answer it. Yes, what do you want? Good evening. On behalf of the Ministry of Accounting and Recounting, I have a few questions. Oh, how lovely. I am so grateful these ministries are looking after us. Yes, that is just what people will say. You ought to be on the stage. If I had ever considered such a thing, my mother would have beaten the consideration right out of me again. Not at all the done thing in our circles. Well, go on. What's the first question? How many people live in this establishmentation? Those who know Fallen London know who wrote that question. Is that a word? Establishmentation? My superiors are enthusiastic embellishers of the language. If you like, you can translate into questions that are more likely to be understood. Right. How many people live in this establishment? 4. The landlady, Mrs. Horatia Chapman, a young man named Archibald Reed, myself, and a 4th character, very disreputable. A reduced number. There used to be others. I know, but there's no point in... We don't know what happened to them. It's possible. I tell myself it's possible they were spared this, left behind on the surface. Maybe there's a second London up there, going on about its business, never noticing that some of us vanished. Sometimes I'm in the mood to keep chatting, and sometimes I want to get to the point. Is anyone in this establishment enamorificated or impassionated? What does this even mean? They're asking if anyone here is in love. Just ask that. Is anyone here in love? No. If you want to discuss our romantic inclinations, Grace, there are easier ways. You didn't have to ask me to survey all our neighbors on the topic. No. At this moment, of course, Archie has to turn up. Archie is a medical student. He hadn't finished his training before the fall, but he has plenty of work now. Right after the fall was broken bones and cuts. Lately, there are fewer wounds and more diseases. I wondered where you were. Good to see you, Archie. Yes, called a morning call, just a bit mistimed. Out I went this morning to visit a patient, and what do I find pasted up on the wall? He holds up a broadsheet. There's a new decree from the Ministry of Cartography and Chirography that all maps and atlases are to be surrendered or put on the fire. It's your folk making these rules, Grease. No need to be upset just yet. I'm sure Grease will explain. Thank you, I think. This must be a difficult position for her, but she'll doubtless face more like it if she goes on serving the ministry. Will you be asking your Mr. Pages about these maps? Grease gives me a long look. My mother warned me about succumbing to wiles. The Ministry of Chirography and Cartography is new. I don't think that existed yesterday. Very well. I'll see what I can find out about this, but it might take some time. Stuart, please do collect a few census forms by tomorrow, from whatever Londoners you were able to find. At the end of the day, I'll find you, and we can take them to Mr. Page's together. New goal. Deliver a filled census form to Pages. She gives me a long look before she goes. Well, next time I'll not come in without knocking. Might be I'll cough a few times so the two of you can separate. Grease is not for me, I think. There might not be any feeling on your side, but she doesn't look at me that way, or Horatia. She might have the look of being fierce. But if she was to choose someone and then her heart was to be broken, might be disappointment or it might be meeting with a thing she couldn't plan. It should be sadder than a hanged cat. Grease has me gathering census pages for the ministry. Aye, Grease told me it was some such thing. I meant to fill a page with answers to questions about you. What questions would those be, then? Are you in love with anyone, or promised to anyone, perhaps from before the fall? Down here, there's no one. What about before the fall? There was a lass back home, and what did me mother do but promise me to her? There must be a great deal of trust and affection in your family, if you're able to rely on each other so much. Well, there's no many people where I come from, so it serves not to make enemies of any of them. The question has stirred recollections he's not considered for a time. Is it bad to say I've not much thought of her since? She has very even teeth. My mother always said overlapping teeth in a woman mean defiance, and gaps mean a light skirt. I chuckle. There's stranger theories I heard in the medical lecture hall, and plenty of constables who thought we'd catch the criminals that road. You must be spending a great deal on medicines, with all of the people you treat. Do your fees cover everything, and enough for yourself? I did sell off a couple of my old atlases, just today. Censored maps sell for a good price if you know the right buyer. Ferret's vermin eradication takes in more than just rats. If I'd met the like of you in Scotland, I might never have come to London. The thought hits me, but I don't show it. "259 days since the fall. Season of confessions. No pennies, 1 census page. Goals. Deliver a filled census form to Pages. Conduct more census interviews. Tomorrow evening, Grease will take me to see Mr. Pages. Our acquaintances are Dr. Stewart, undertaker. Chapman's boarding house, Thrall Street, interested in passionate romance. My witty and warm self. My views on life in the Neath are still forming. Day -124, pre-fall. Moved into Chapman's. Day 150, false summer. 50th consecutive day, not leaving the attic. Day 220, confessions. Asked Grease to help me find work. Archibald Reed, seller of contraband goods to finance his medical charity. Boards with Horatia. His mum has a nice girl for him back home. Fellow lodger. We survived the fall together. That's a sort of bond. Day -1, pre-fall. I've known Archie since shortly before the fall. Day 259, confessions. Archie joked about my feelings for Grease. I finished taking the census with Archie. I gave up any interest in Archie. Griselda Smith, clerk at the ministry. Boards with Horatia. Romantic interests, unknown. Informant. We survived the fall together. That's a sort of bond. Day -15, pre-fall. Grease moved into Chapman's a short while before the fall. She wore gowns back then. Day 259, confessions. Grease came to ask about my progress on the census. I've made no progress. Harjeet Singh, constable. Household, unknown. Romantic interests, unknown. Constable. The one to ask whenever I get lost, or think I might be going to get lost. Day 0, mid-apocalypse. I first remember Harjeet from the night of the fall, when he was patrolling the neighborhood. Horatia Chapman. Occupation, unknown. Keeps Chapman's and all its lodgers. Romantic interests, unknown. Landlady. I still owe her back rent. Day -124, pre-fall. I moved into Horatia's. She gave me a good room and a stern speech about conduct in her house. Day 0, mid-apocalypse. We lived through the night of the fall in Horatia's basement. She's looked after all her lodgers since. And here we have a dialogue log. Day 260. 13 days remain in the season of confessions. The newspapers aren't what they used to be, but someone is still printing broadsheets these days. This morning's lies open on the table. Beware ailments caused by lack of sunlight. Cholera, scurvy, female distemper. This is Victorian period, so cholera, scurvy, female distemper are thought to be caused by lack of sunlight. Rickets is not. Recall the past. Relive the fall of London. This will not cause time to pass. I'm always reliving London's last night on the surface. I try to put it out of my head, but it's still there. The dimming of the sun at 3 in the afternoon. The sky turning the color of rust. The horrible bang and the cloud of dust from the direction of Westminster. The tolling of the bells. The horseman who rode down the street, liveried in the garb of the palace, shouting, "In Her Majesty's name, go indoors!" And then the sky was full of bats, more bats than I thought could exist in the world, wheeling, shrieking, defecating. People went indoors then, if they'd ignored the criers. Those that had no house crowded into the churches and under the bridges. Even now I don't understand why Parliament collapsed. The building that was Parliament is now drowned in the Thames. No one alive can give a good account of it. I reckon it's a tornado. I've heard of somewhat similar in the Welsh Hills back to 1760. Nay light in the sky, and a noise like a thunderclap. That's no tornado, love. It's a plague of Egypt. I let them talk. I've seen tornadoes. They come, and they move right on again, and they aren't made of bats. They say the tornado scattered livestock every which way. Sheep on rooftops and that. Then the ground shook again. I believe we can blame Mr. Bazalgette's excavations, digging about under London, causing a seismic disturbance. And what do you find down there about a K of 3 million bats? Is that what you reckon? There are stranger things beneath London. That was the beginning of it, but we were down there for hours and hours. The sky darkened, and it didn't return to normal. Once, around midnight, Grease went upstairs and opened the door to the street, but she came right back down again. She said the cobbles were galloping about. It wasn't safe to walk outside. After that first bit, the memories collide and get confused. I have trouble keeping track of which came first and which came later, and whether I'm imagining something. I've spent a lot of days like this, thinking back, trying to piece together the bits of the puzzle, as if I could realize something that would make sense of it all. Okay, this looks good for the business we're doing. Venture out into London. Time will pass as you explore the city. Thrall Street. Just outside my front door. Surely these are the same streets that were always here. Take the census with Harjeet. It's worth it to be mindful of how others will perceive me, what role I play. What I can and cannot say is constrained by my clothes. We've already seen a bit of that. When we were talking to Grease, our census options were limited by the coat and the badge. There were a few options only available if we were wearing them. This was true before the fall, but it's even truer now. Names, identities, and relationships have all become so unsteady and unreliable. Harjeet admires duty, but does not always care for the ministry. It's hard to say what impression the badge makes on him. We're interviewing him in our capacity as a census taker, so probably best to be wearing it. The streets outside Mrs. Chapman's are not easy. I've met any number of vicars and churchmen thanks to my former connections. I still know where to look for them. New location, St. Albans Proto-Martyr. St. Alban was the first English martyr, a point of considerable pride to the local vicar. It's the church of our parish. Let me look that up. First recorded British Christian martyr, for which reason he is considered the proto-martyr of Britain. Along with fellow saints Julius and Aaron, Alban is one of 3 named martyrs recorded at an early date in Roman Britain. Amphibolus was the name given much later to the priest he was said to be protecting. He is traditionally believed to have been beheaded in Verulamium, modern-day St. Albans, sometime during the 3rd or 4th century, and has been celebrated there since ancient times. Best known account is Venerable Bede. But whenever I need to find more of them, it's Harjeet who helps me. I have something for you, if you want it. He produces a nearly new admiral's hat in perfectly good condition. I found it near the docks. No sign of the owner, and I can't wear it myself. I thought someone at Mrs. Chapman's might get use out of it. Perhaps Lady Griselda. Admiral's hat, trimmed with gold braid, makes a person look like a respectable representative of the Navy. Wearing it gives me a commanding if slightly curmudgeonly presence. Clothes make an impression on other people when I wear them. Make an impression on me, too. Sometimes I'm inspired to say things I wouldn't otherwise. I have the feeling this particular hat would make me a bit gruff and commanding. Thank you kindly. He could have got a penny or 2 for it by selling it on to a second-hand clothes merchant. Harjeet does not have an answer. I require assistance with the Ministry census. The truth is essential. Harjeet looks out of sorts. London was determined to collect everyone's name even before the fall. The idea is to find out how many mouths need feeding. A list like that is never put to only one use. But never mind, you do not have to explain yourself to me. Not while I'm wearing this uniform, at any rate. What do you wish to know? Do you live alone? I live alone, for the moment. I recognize an evasion. Harjeet is not the kind of person who would tell me bluntly to mind my own business. But he won't say more than he thinks I have reason to know. Still, that is enough information for the purposes of the census. Are you married or otherwise connected? I have met matchmakers before, but not in London. Are all practitioners here equally unsubtle? If you have a weakness to pressure, anything a criminal could use to blackmail you, that should be declared, or you put everyone at risk. Harjeet hesitates. I don't admire breaking the law, but... I write, deliberately evasive. Silence falls. All well on the streets? Every day I can walk a little further without getting lost. But sometimes I lose a place again. Do you recall the second-hand clothesman who used to be around the corner? Sometimes, when my family dressed a corpse, the relatives of the deceased would offer his clothes as payment. Whatever he didn't need to be buried in. Would take them around there and sell them off. An efficient solution. At first, I thought the shop was destroyed, but it's moved 2 streets away now, the whole building. This could improve on the tram service. All the passengers enter the shop, moves across London, everyone out. It's only gone a couple of blocks in all the months since the fall. May need a more regular schedule. I should be on my way. Don't do anything too dangerous out there, Stuart. My face betrays my feelings. Judging by the clock, I can afford one more errand today before supper. Okay. It's hard to guess what outfit will best go over in this environment, even though we're quite familiar with it. I'm satisfied with this. St. Albans Protomartyr. This is the closest church to Horatia's. He looks me over, and he does not see a parishioner. I see the masters are meddling with affairs of the church. I suppose it was inevitable that they would turn their attention this way in time. I am Stuart. Theophilus Withernick. It is a Yorkshire name. Time was when I would not have intruded on a stranger. Down here, seems like any human companionship is welcome. Aha. The Ministry of Accounting and Recounting have asked me to work on the census. Theophilus looks faintly mutinous. A decree went out from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. Render unto Caesar, as they say. And what does Caesar want at the moment? There is not a great deal in the poor box. Just a few answers about your habits. It will only take a moment. I suppose the parish provides you with housing, or do you have to board out? I live alone in the rooms provided for the vicar of this parish. There is a woman who comes twice a week to clean, or there was. Her visits have been more erratic of late. She stole several spoons and a chafing dish from me, and my second-best chasuble. Who knows what she thought to do with it? When I did not turn her off for dishonesty, she lost all respect for me. In retrospect, it was an error. I thought to show mercy. Now I sleep on damp sheets. You seem like someone who would have a wife, just as efficient as yourself, helping to oversee the parish. I was married. The lady was 2 or 3 years older than myself. A very sensible and capable woman. Her name was Anne. And whether Nick is no longer with you? It is a sad but not unusual tale. I hope as a man of the cloth you set a good example in marriage. Theophilus hesitates. You've earned my trust. Anne died giving birth to our first child. The baby did not survive her by more than a few days. I'd hoped to be reunited with them in the hereafter, but we see what the hereafter has proven to be, at least in my case. Seems the Almighty has deemed me unworthy. I doubt the Almighty takes that view. Vengeance is his, they say. We find ourselves here in the dark. Something has landed on the roof. It sees us. Vake. Bat. Is that thing, a frequent visitor? No, but it has come enough times that I am familiar with its noises. It's landed there a few times before, especially when the choir is practicing. Hey, you! Fly away! The thing tilts its head. Perhaps it is looking at us. Shh. Off! Yeah! The thing up there is gone. Theophilus says nothing. He is still listening for the thing on the ceiling. Is it all vicaring, or do you earn a bit on the side? From time to time, I've considered offering myself as a tutor to some enterprising pupils. My Greek and Latin grow rusty. But I never put the plan into practice. Now, as we see, the education of the young is no longer a primary concern in the best houses. It was good of you to stop in. Lord see you safely home again. It's time to go home. Go down to supper. Greece is waiting for me. Whatever census forms you have ready, it is time to take them to Mr. Page's. Now I'm famished. Mr. Page's has been expecting these all day. He is eager to see what you've made of the collection. Once I've shown you how to reach the ministry, you can come back here on your own and turn in others. Greece has me gather my papers. With luck, Mr. Page's will decide to keep you on. With even more luck, he won't mind about being asked about the Ministry of Chirography and Cartography. With that, she leads me outside and down a side street that is no longer named. The way is a dolorous pilgrimage. We scramble upstairs, too steep for our legs. We squeeze through sphincteral alleyways. We snag our hems on splinters of unsanded carpetry. Something, perhaps the bazaar, perhaps the city itself, begrudges our approach. Finally, we find ourselves standing in its shadow, under its walls. I think those are the sigils I've already unlocked. Before us is a low door that once, I think, belonged to a solicitor's office. Grease takes out a key, made of something other than metal, and unlocks that door. Mind the pile of papers. I've already sorted them 3 times. Mr. Pages is very particular about the ordering of documents. Now, where has he gone? Usually he's here by this time of day. Ah, there you are, sir. We were just coming to bring you the census documents. A first installment of many, I'm sure. There is a tone in her voice, somewhere between fondness and a nanny guiding an untutored child. Don't ignore the mood between them. I watch her curiously. She doesn't meet my eye. Does she have feelings towards it? Affection? Regard for a very strange and demanding pet? Or is it something more heartfelt? Mr. Pages, may I present Stuart? Stuart, this is Mr. Pages. The whole Ministry of Accounting and Recounting is under Mr. Pages' direction. Thank you very much for offering me employment. The opportunities in London aren't what they used to be. Grease assures us that they are improvocated. It is highly gratifactory that the populace of London appreciates their move. With the very powerful, one must align oneself carefully. What have you brought us? Ah, most satisfactory. There are secrets here. Gives me 2 shiny pennies for my trouble. I turn one over, and it has a portrait on the back of someone who is certainly not the Queen. The face on the back of the coin stares at me until the hair prickles on my neck. The coin reminds me of a debt owed, and I don't want to remember. My breath hitches and slows and resumes. Holding 2 pennies now. Provide Pages with 7 census forms. We did not expect much from Archie. Undercon agrees, having already revelated that he is a lightless character. Lightless. I seem to remember that means something in a Fallen London context. Let's see. Lightless. Slothful, viceful, willful abandonment of talent and interest. That does not sound like him. Maybe it just means that he prefers the dark. What else is there? Pages takes my penny payment from a jar, bringing my stash to 3. There are other coins in there, and a few things that aren't even coins. Buttons. Pearls, probably false. A horse head, carved from ivory or bone. We are grateful for your assistance. There are never too many papers. There is some unrevelated matter here. It will be good to discover. Do you have anything more? Mr. Pages takes the census page eagerly and spends some time scanning it. Whatever it finds, it considers impressive enough to offer us 2 pennies. But it is, I think, disappointed all the same. There is something it is looking for that it cannot find. Greece specificated the existence of holy men who were wedded to the church. This one appears to have been wedded to a woman only. A disappointment, though we thank you, it might have been something more. It contemplates the final sheet of the census form again. The business of the census is done for now. Perhaps I've earned a question. Why aren't we allowed to have maps and atlases anymore? We need them more than ever. London isn't arranged where it used to be. I believe the Ministry intends to resurvey the territory. In the meantime, it wouldn't do, to have people using fallacious maps. The territory of the Neath is anti-disposificated towards lying still. Yes, maps are treacherous. That is enough of my official duties for the moment. Did Pages just blink? Grease accompanies me out again when it is time to go. She makes a couple of remarks about how useful this will be, though she stops short of asking whether I'm in debt to Horatia. I haven't forgotten, though. Pay Horatia half my back rent. As we make our way back to Horatia's, Grease asks me what I think of Mr. Pages. She tries to make it sound like an idly curious question. I tell her that I feel Mr. Pages must be a boon to robe makers throughout London. She replies that, judging by the ink stains, she does not think he replaces his wardrobe terribly often. The rest of the walk is taken up with speculation about Mr. Page's taste in gloves and boots. Before we go back inside the house, she reminds me, we have many more people in the neighborhood to survey for the census. You know how it's done now, so you can collect them and take them to Mr. Page's yourself. I have other duties. I may not always be there, but Page's is, well, I am certain you won't be harmed if you visit the ministry on your own. Page's route. I'll be glad to pay a visit by myself. An opportunity, some might say. You're hired as a clerk, not well, the word isn't in a lady's vocabulary. But don't go thinking you're hired for something you want. Mr. Pages would probably be offended and blame me for hiring you on. Okay, we've delivered a filled census form to Pages. We can give 5 pennies to Horatio. We need to interview people for census information and deliver those filled forms. Harjeet isn't seeing anyone and lives alone. Pages is an adorable detractor. I want to win its heart, but we haven't even flirted much yet. Day 260, Confessions. I made the acquaintance of Mr. Pages. It is very tall. Household unknown, romantic interests unknown. Theo, skeptical companion and informant. Theophilus Withernick, vicar of St. Albans, lives alone, lost his wife Anne in childbirth, and fears he will never be reunited with her. I've extracted what Mr. Pages wanted to know, more or less. Day 260, Confessions. I want to speak with Theophilus, the vicar at St. Albans. I tried to make Theophilus respect me in the name of the ministry, but I don't think it worked. I finished taking the census with Theophilus. Something horrible landed on the roof of St. Albans. Theophilus did not seem surprised. This is thirsty work. For those watching, don't worry, it's just water. Day 261. 12 days remain in Confessions. Another morning, another newspaper. The headlines today read, Ministry of Accounting and Recounting offers extra rations in exchange for old pound notes. I remember the days of the fall in fragments. There are a few moments that I'm always drawn back to. Memories that stand for everything else that happened. There are things I sometimes remember from that night that cannot have happened. Impossible things. If I concentrate, I can recall. Harjeet turned up as the constable of these streets right around the time London fell. I didn't see him around here before that, but he's watched over the neighborhood since. That day, when the sky had gone red even though it wasn't yet time for sunset, Harjeet knocked on the servant's door. He was carrying a lantern. All well in this house. Any wounded, any missing, any dead. Anyone bunking with you that didn't live here yesterday? It was Horatio who answered, of course. No, that's not right. Grease answered. Grease answered. Or, wait, is that right? Why would it have been Grease? She's used to servants. She hasn't got the habit of answering the door herself. Night London fell. All Horatia's lodgers gathered in the cellar. Horatia led the hymns while we waited for dawn. Around 3 in the afternoon, we admitted to ourselves that there wasn't going to be a dawn. Today, or any other day. We offered him something to eat before he left. We have a few provisions if you need food. It looks like it will be a long night. I can't stay, but thank you. It's kind of you to offer. Okay. Street. Harjeet can show us a route. Boarding house. Take the census with Horatia. Let's see what the other options were. Adding multi-click there. Horatia it is. Horatia doesn't attend much to what I wear. An indifference no doubt born of seeing us in all states. I find Horatia in the basement, taking inventory of our supplies. I am indebted to Horatia. Since the fall, I haven't always had the funds to pay for my room and board. She provided for me anyway. If there's anything to eat, I'm always welcome to join the other lodgers. She's never said a word in front of the other guests. Hello there. I trust the Neath isn't treating you too badly. Since the fall, we have all taken to greeting one another as invalids on the verge of death. The badge makes clear that I'm here for business, not for conversation. The Ministry of Accounting and Recounting have asked me to work on the census. I see. What should I write down about matters of the heart? Were you in love when you were younger? The butcher at the corner asked me a few times to be his wife. I couldn't say I was tempted. He had 7 children from his marriage before. I believe he was more attracted to the extra rooms in my house than to me. There's a woman who comes to the door just about every morning. Too many children and not enough food. Sometimes I have a penny or some old stew for her. Why can't she get something from the masters? The master's food is sold, not given. And they only give enough food for 2 or 3 people at a time. I'm sorry. Usually I at least look her in the eye, even though I have nothing to give. But I'm not sure. Does that only make things worse? You don't have any secret business besides running the household, do you? The house has been my business for a long time now. My father left it to me. He bought it so I'd have a good place to live. He didn't want to leave it up to whether I'd find a husband. I'm just off to put my feet up and read the paper. If the rest of you have left any scraps of it, that is. My face betrays my feelings. There's time to run another errand before supper. Not yet. Harjeet admires duty, but does not always care for the ministry. It's hard to say what impression the badge makes on him. You're looking well. Okay. Find any interesting places today? There's a menace eradicator's shop around the corner in that direction. He points towards a couple of buildings. I can't see the path between them at first. It takes a minute of staring before I notice the alley that cuts between. So we walk together, and every few moments Harjeet stops to point out a landmark, or draw my attention to the places where the air smells different, where the sound of church bells can be heard. New location, Ferret's shop. Ferret is the local menace eradicator, and there's significant need for their services lately. Rats, moles, spiders. Destruction and disposal. The sign outside says this shop belongs to one ferret. This, presumably, is them. Ferret doesn't look straight at my badge, but it's been noticed all the same. Everything's all right and tight here. Regular inspections and all that. We pay the constables their due. My name is Stuart. Ferret, but you could see that on the shop window. Not that I can say I'm delighted to make the acquaintance. I dare say you aren't either. Oh, wait, that was me. Not to say I can say I'm delighted to make the acquaintance. I dare say you aren't either. It's the fall that's done it. Can't keep to our old circles these days, can we? Pleasure to meet you. The Ministry of Accounting and Recounting have asked me to work on the census. Ferret shows no enthusiasm for the ministry. What's your full name, from the perspective of the law, that is? That's the only name I go by. No one saw fit to tell me if it was a full name or a surname. Might have come down to me from a noble house, for all I know. Courtesy of my great-grandsire and his wife, Lord and Lady Stokeweasel. That form, do you have to put on it whether a person is a gentleman or not? Doesn't ask anything about whether the person is male or female. That's good. Can't say I've ever liked answering that one. People are always trying to fit one into uncomfortable boxes. You don't fit in either, eh? What sort of household is it? Have you got anyone sharing in it with you? Friends, siblings, partners in crime, pets, etc.? Ah, what's it to 'em? For all you know, I might keep a dormitory full of vermin-killing apprentices, like my master did with me for enough years. Took me out of the chimney-sweeping trade and put me at rats instead. Somehow don't fancy there's a spousal ferret about anywhere, is there? Strange thing, but I don't fancy sharing those particulars with your masters. It's my shy and delicate nature. Might put me to the blush if those things was to become known. Write down, refuse to answer. Make the note. Boy, wasn't expecting you till this evening. Seeing to customers, as you can see. Hello, Stuart. I already know the customer. I'm just by with a warning about the pub at the corner. More unusually infested, is it? If the publican hires you to clear the place, bring help. And fire. Gently redirect the conversation. Harjeet says nothing, pointedly. It'll be spiders. I remember when we didn't have these troubles. No, we had a different set in it. Bad bit of beef, transportation to Australia, sunburns. Back to business, though, eh? What else can I do for you? Is business good, then? I've been at rat catching and mole killing for many years now, but I've never seen the business like this. There's demand for eradicating of the beasties, and demand for their bodies when you've done them. So the wages never have been so good, but I don't get as much competition as you might expect. That stands to reason, considering what one finds in a rat's nest these days. If you ask me, in a year or two, we'll need more Nataria to catch rats with. Might need firearms. What's different about the rats now? Hungrier, aren't they? They're used to a city's worth of scraps. Suddenly London's scraps aren't worth the having. They'll come out bold as day and take a loaf off a man's plate if you aren't careful. You hear stories, don't you, about rats getting so eager they gnaw on an infant in its crib. Right, I believe you. You can take my word for it. Truth to tell, I haven't been called to deal with any chewed-on infants that wasn't already deceased. Unsavory subject. Let's see your pockets before you go, then. Not nicked anything you shouldn't have done? Very well, can't be too careful in these parts. It's nearly time for supper. This morning I was in the basement, checking our supplies. Is there much down there that's not mine, then? I'm saving a jar of pickle for Christmas. Something to give us a taste of old times. But I found a couple of rats down there, reading the labels. Staring foolishly, perhaps. They were sounding out the words. Yes, I believe you. Reese lets us sink in. I don't know what to make of that. I don't like to think what the blighted creatures might be planning. From now on, I don't want anyone but me going down to the basement. I have a heap of medicines down there, so I'm not finished cooking yet. If you tell me what you want brought up, dear, I'll fetch it for you sometime. But it's not safe scouting alone. You've seen all the bottles. It'd take you a week to bring them up, and they're at a delicate stage to boot. Would not want to be shaking up the sediment. I'll bring up your things in cotton wool and a bassinet if that's needed, Archibald. But I'm not having anyone else walk down there. I'm not losing you to that. I chewed diligently. The first few days weren't bad. People had food in their pantries still. Old loaves of bread, leftover joints, roots, and jams. But nothing new was coming into the markets. No new fish, no vegetables from the farms. Dinner reaches an end. Talk with Archie before bed. Archie finds me upstairs after dinner. I cannot stop thinking on the Ministry of Cartography. There's something not right there. If you'd let me show you what I'm thinking of. Please be my guest. You'll see what I have in mind in a moment. It's a way of sorting out my thoughts. When I started, it was to think through a treatment. But it's good for all sorts. Stories, schemes, things that might be true, or things that don't have to be. While he's talking, he's getting out some bits of paper, written over in his own handwriting. Okay, this is something I'm familiar with, but it's an important mechanic. So let's watch closely. Welcome to story crafting. From time to time, you'll be making stories about things you discover in the Neath. Sometimes other people will ask you to bring them a story. They might want a true account or they might want fiction. Either way, you'll come here to create the story they want. This is a slot. Slots contain the elements of your story. This is a who slot, meaning it can contain a character featured in the story. Select the slot to continue. These are all the character tokens you can currently put in the slot. As you meet more characters in the game, you'll gain more options. Select one of the tokens to fill the slot and continue. This is a story about Mr. Pages. Excellent. You can select the slot again to choose someone else if you'd like. Otherwise, let's continue. Characters in the stories you craft here can be driven by motives, and these motives spur them to act. Tokens for action and motives are represented by fragments of text rather than pictures. Assign a token to both the motive and action slots before you continue. This is a story about Mr. Pages, a master of the bazaar, driven by secret unknown motives. This is a story about Mr. Pages, a master of the bazaar, driven by a powerful lust. This is a story about Mr. Pages, master of the bazaar, driven by a lust for power. This is a story about Mr. Pages, a master of the bazaar, driven by a thirst for gold. Mr. Pages, a master of the bazaar with a thirst for gold, carried on a scandalous public affair with a lover. Well done, delicious friend. Let's continue. Not every story is a single-hander, of course. Commonly, a second character will feature, as a friend, an enemy, or a victim. Select this new slot to continue. The second person in your story needs to be different from the first. Notice that the token for the character you first chose is marked with a cross. If you assign that token to this slot, it'll vacate the first character slot. You can try that now. You may continue when both slots have been filled. Sometimes two tokens can't be placed together because they don't make sense together. More often, you can mix and match based on whatever you've learned about the world. You'll discover more variations in the course of play. Sometimes you'll be asked for a story where certain elements can't be changed. In that case, those slots will be locked. You can change everything else about the story, but not that piece. Mr. Pages, a master of the bazaar, driven by a powerful lust, carried on a scandalous public affair with its lover, Greece. Greece was afraid of Mr. Pages. Finally, sometimes you can put an unknown into a slot. That means you think there's another possible answer, but you need to explore the world more to find out what it is. Building a story with some unknown elements gives you a hypothesis you can ask other characters about. Fill this final slot to continue. Possible fear. Mr. Pages, a master of the bazaar driven by a powerful lust, carried on a scandalous public affair with its lover, Greece. Greece was afraid of Mr. Pages and reacted by doing something we have yet to identify. You formed a theory to ask people about. When you get a message about a story completed, that lets you know what kind of story you built. You can now go and ask other characters about your idea. Whenever you're done working on a story, finished or not, you can leave the story crafting board and go and tell other characters about your idea. Of a friend below that can take what we learn and put it about in the papers. I told them I knew someone that might be able to bring back a few secrets of the ministry. You want to pay me to bring back information about my other employer? I can share some funds, in the spirit of shared enterprise. Here, you have a try. Make me a tale of Mr. Pages for the papers, eh? Why not? Mr. Pages established a ministry rule forbidding mapping in the Neath, and then something happened, presumably, but what? Pages, desperate. Mr. Pages made laws forbidding mapping because it knew that the floor of the Neath would shift anyhow. The maps would become obsolete, and the citizens grow frightened. was better to allow people to think their own memories were at fault. The typical Londoner thought Mr. Pages knew best for London, and obeyed faithfully. Aye, well done. Don't care to have things hidden from me for my own good. It's a tale we could spread to others, wake London's suspicions. Put them on their guard. I could take it to the press. Now, you might wonder what was the purpose of having this scrap of paper just to say you don't know. But I use that to mark a question I want to ask. Yeah, what would you do if you wanted to interrogate someone about why Mr. Pages was up to his ways? Pages, unknowable. Mr. Pages had purposes both unknown and unknowable. It established a ministry rule forbidding mapping in the Neath. A fine question about what Mr. Pages intends for us all. Make a question like that, and you'd be asking folk why Mr. Pages out in hall maps. Same as I asked Reese yesterday. You've got the way of it. Questions to ask anyone who will reply. Answers to bring to me. If you don't mind giving Mr. Pages all manner of stories about the people that live below, then you can go on with it. If you'd rather another way to making your bread, you might investigate while you're there. Ask him questions. Ask other people questions about him. Find out a thing or two. If you make up the questions you want to ask, you can investigate with anyone who might answer. Earn your pennies helping the citizens rather than those creatures in their blankets. Bring Archie theories about the ministry. Seems like it doesn't require upright penmanship. That makes it superior to census work right there. Don't it just? And the truth has its own value. I'm glad to hear you say so. It's no easy thing fighting the doubts on my own. With Horatia telling me I have the fidgets, and Grizz saying I should be quiet and trust our robe-wearing masters. I should let you get your sleep. I shake my head to clear it. The ruminations are gone. All is as it was. Okay, so, craft a story about what is really going on. Tell Archie I have something to show him. And back rent. And deliver 7 filled census forms. Ferret. Occupation, unknown. Household, lives above shop. Romantic interests, they don't seem keen on marrying. Skeptical census filler. They've extracted what Mr. Pages wanted to know, more or less. Apparently they are not just a menace eradicator, though. Pages desperate. Pages unknowable. Story crafting ideas discovered. Sold contraband. Pre-fall. New Neath changed. Theophilus. Feared predators. Fought a flying creature. The bazaar. Hoarded written word. Advertised lodgings. Ferret. Forbade mapping. Day 262. 11 days remain in confessions. Another morning. Another newspaper. Archie bought one, and the headlines read, Missing baby found in vast basement spiderweb. Masters urge calm. Okay, let's take a look at our stories. Ministerial exposés offer Archie stories about the masters that might shock the ordinary Londoner. Mr. Pages did something. The typical Londoner posed no challenges and asked no questions. Mr. Pages took some action, but I am unsure what. I'll need to ask someone about this. Pages, undecided. Mr. Pages knew that London was threatened by many monstrous things in the Neath. It took some action, but I am unsure what. I'll need to ask someone about this. The typical Londoner posed no challenges and asked no questions. I reach for another memory out of that jumbled grab bag. There are things I sometimes remember from that night that cannot have happened. Impossible things. If I concentrate, I can recall. Archie and Harjeet had a conversation about something. I think I remember Archie talking to Harjeet. I'm not sure whether it was right when Harjeet arrived, though. Might have been later. Something about laudanum dosages. What to do if Harjeet found someone who was on the verge of dying, in a lot of pain. That memory is hazy, as if I heard it from another room. I was half asleep at the time. Couldn't swear to it. There was something else, too, that I haven't thought of until now. Just a flicker of an exchange. How old would your wife be, then? Only the size and gender change the dose. Ah. You don't recall? No, I haven't forgotten anything. Ah, I'm a doctor on Neath. There's no need to be shy. And Stuart is sleeping by the look of it. Well, the person in question is a gentleman. In his 30s, a military man, near my own height. Oh, not your wife, then. If it's a comfort to you, may a friendship or two of that persuasion myself. The near recent months. They went away then, Archie showing Harjeet how to measure various medicines for a large military gentleman. I need more places to go. Harjeet admires duty. Satisfied with this, since we're on ministry business for now. You're looking well. Okay, let's try Hogslane. How do you get to Hogslane Market? Harjeet shows me the way as he did before. At certain points, he makes me look up at the stalactites above and fix their relationship in my mind. They sparkle with something other than stars. Don't treat the stars like constellations. They do not stand still. New location, Hogslane Market. Likely just a corruption of Hog's Lane, but I'd keep my pet pig on a leash all the same. What are you up to, then? In the market for new clothes? this your chief employment? Here's the thing about working in the houses of fine ladies. They leave their letters lying about and tell themselves you can't read. They gossip about their affairs and fancy that you're deaf. Well, I have a rule, and it shows a generous and charitable spirit at that. First time you forget, I've got eyes and a brain, no arm. Shut my minces and keep my arms clamped. Do it again, your secrets are mine, and my secrets are my living. Okay, let me see if I can get a translation. Okay, mince pies, that eyes, and then Hounslow. Can't find anything for that. Let's see, maybe this place. Under H. Hounslow Heath. Teeth. Shut my eyes and keep my teeth clamped. Good thinking. The owner of a secret doesn't know when it's been stolen. As you can see, better to be able to take an opportunity when it's offered than to make a plan. Plans break. Ah, well, top of Rome for me. Come back around, ask for Ivy. About most days in market hours. My face betrays my feelings. I can just manage another errand today. You're looking well. Okay, Tenterground Synagogue. Do you know where the synagogue is? I walked out the way to the Tenterground Synagogue. There are a lot of people in that area today. This path is more than usually complicated. Several times we stop and retrace our steps. We cannot omit this part of the procedure. Going backwards is part of the route. An old synagogue, and one that has weathered the fall very well. They peer over my badge. I'm not familiar with that ministry. It's new. We are on our way to services, so this is not a suitable time for ministry business. Wait here, Rachel, or you can stand a bit to the side if you want, wherever you're comfortable. I'll speak with this person. Won't take long. Shouldn't, anyway. I'm Stuart. Time was when I would not have intruded on a stranger. Down here, seems like any human companionship is welcome. David and Rachel Landau. Rachel is my sister. What can we do for you? The Ministry of Accounting and Recounting have asked me to work on the census. I see. I'll answer your questions, Doctor, if you'll answer mine. Call it character research. Are you having peculiar dreams down here? My housemate is a doctor. Well, almost a doctor. He is being called to see people with strange dreams constantly. Does he report them back to you? Or, better yet, does he keep a ledger? He only gives the outlines. He doesn't give away the secrets of his patients. Commendable. Inconvenient. Go ahead with your questions, Doctor. What did you mean when you said you had a question about character research? I write novels. They are published, one chapter at a time, in the Lily of London magazine. I was in the midst of one when the fall happened. My publisher insisted that I continue the story, despite all. Rachel, are you certain you want to share so much? Does it matter? Surely these precautions are behind us. My own household has dwindled a bit since the fall. Is yours as it was? Who lives with you? Our home contains myself, my brother, and our housekeeper. It isn't a grand establishment. We had another housekeeper for many years, but she passed away, and Phoebe, our servant, had lost her place with a neighbor of ours. Do you have any romantic commitments now? He doesn't have any commitments. In fact, I would go so far as to say he's utterly without prospects. He stays home and reads. I haven't been well. He warns me of spinsterhood, but he's headed very much in that direction himself. It isn't the same thing at all. I agree it isn't. I have my work to support myself. But what's become of your funds since the fall? You'll have to marry if you don't mean to end your days a pauper, brother. I'll rely on you to support me in my failing years, sister. Are you married? In love? Oh, not recently. I was in love once, or so I imagined. Charlotte Cunningham. She and David had an understanding. She converted, in any case. Becoming Christian suited her social aspirations. Rachel... Yes, yes. I take leave to dislike your unworthy suitors as heartily as you dislike mine. Milton is a yellow-eyed, flash-dressed, hot-handed creature at least 2 decades too old for my sister. Rumors of devils are frequent in the city. Perhaps Milton is one of them. I hardly think he and Charlotte are compatible, or comparable. Oh dear, the rules of polite society have broken somewhat in the fall, haven't they? Nothing of the sort. He's a devil. Or rather, he belongs to the group using that name. Milton is an artistic inspiration. If you are not a writer yourself, Doctor, you cannot guess at how much the fall has disrupted our sort of work. Characters have certain tastes, certain preferences, certain prejudices. All I need to do is imagine them in new circumstances, and their reactions right themselves. But now, we've all been at least a bit cracked by the fall. How does anyone behave? Who can say? You always said you wrote from observation. You can still observe. Since the fall, there's no pattern in what I see. It's only home that makes sense to me. And I cannot make it into my whole novel about a brother and sister lighting candles at Shabbat. Why not? I imagine you could make that as fascinating as anything else. My publisher wouldn't tolerate it. The Lily of London wouldn't print it. The rest of the world must come into it somehow. Milton helps me with salt the rest of the world. He can make sense of anything, even a vicantess running down the street in her peignoir. Okay, that's one to look up. A woman's loose-fitting dressing gown. Dressing sack, loose morning gown or wrapper. It's easy to understand a misbehaving vicantess. Everything else is stranger. Let me say, Doctor, Milton smokes rose-scented cigars. He helps me. For the census, what is your romantic status? Married? Betrothed? Are you in love? No, I wouldn't say that. Milton is only a friend. Just as well, too. The times before, you never would have darkened the door of such a person. What's your occupation, then, if indeed you require one? We have some money in the funds, and interest in several businesses, in London and elsewhere. The time was when I used to be very busy in answering letters from Livorno, from Amsterdam. These days, my time is not so extensively occupied. We're expected elsewhere. Not feeling well enough for this. You've set loose one or two ideas, for which I certainly owe you something. She produces a card and hands it to me. Provides her address and guidance to reach it. The Landau's townhouse. A well-appointed townhouse, suffused with a homely glow from its tall windows. Home of the Landau siblings. Goodbye, then. It is almost time to eat. David, Rachel, wrote a novel. Phoebe, Carringham's. Fought over Milton, fought over Rachel, Milton. I thought I smelled a stew. The pot's on the table, Stuart. Sit wherever you like. What's in it? If you judge just by the flavor, it'll be a chewy type of fish. Makes a change from mushrooms. That goes for you too, Miss Griselda. There's stew ready if you're hungry. You went fishing? It was a gift from someone I traded for gripe. The masters warned me against eating things from the river. I'm not sure it was the river he caught it from. Why? What did he tell you? He didn't tell me anything. Let us all eat and be grateful. I think we know enough. I try to sound calm, but I'm not sure it comes out that way. It would help settle the nerves. There's a brief lull in the conversation. I chew diligently. We finish eating. David Landau, city man. Lives with Rachel and Phoebe. Loved Charlotte before she became Lady Kerrigan. Fan. I've earned David's admiration now and again. Day 262, Confessions. I introduced myself to David Landau, a gentleman I met by the synagogue. I persuaded David to obey me on behalf of the ministry. I finished taking the census with David. Ivy. Dressmaker and dealer in disreputable secrets. Household and romantic interests, unknown. Stranger, I don't have anything in mind for us. Phoebe, housekeeper. Lives in. Romantic interests, unknown. Stranger, we know each other only by repute. Rachel Landau, writer. Lives with David, brother, and Phoebe, housekeeper. Might or might not be infatuated with a devil. Census filler. I have extracted what Mr. Page has wanted to know, more or less. Day 262, Confessions. I met Rachel Landau, David's sister. I persuaded Rachel to obey me on behalf of the ministry. I finished taking the census with Rachel. Day 263. 10 days remain in Confessions. Another morning. Another newspaper. Archie bought one, and the headlines read, Her Majesty's Palace shuttered. Royal family remains unreachable. I reach for another memory out of that jumbled grab bag. There are things I sometimes remember from that night that cannot have happened. Impossible things. If I concentrate, I can recall. I saw something in a corner of the basement. I remember waking up in the night and seeing that there was a new rat hole in the basement wall. As I lay there gazing at it, there came something slick and writhing from that hole. It felt about the floor of the basement and wrapped itself around a lump of coal, finding nothing else handy. That displeased it, seems, because it dropped the lump again and withdrew. When I summoned the courage to look into the hole, I saw nothing. But I could not be sure that I saw it truly. Okay, what can we do here? Mr. Pages took unknown actions. Okay, we can take the census with Phoebe. We can take the census with Ivy. Let's see if we can find another route. You're looking well. The Devil's Townhouse. Have you seen any devils? If by that you mean the people with yellow eyes. Yes. They have taken over a townhouse. That way. He points out a direction. You can see them coming and going sometimes, and the occasional vicar standing outside to stare in. The walk is easier this time than some of our previous lessons. At first, I think I am becoming better at route finding. Then Harjeet mentions that the streets are becoming easier. The street signs change less frequently now. Devil's Townhouse. They say this place is inhabited by devils, or alternatively, people with yellow eyes and a warm handshake. Harjeet takes a look at the devil's doorstep and raises his eyebrows. It's plain he has no taste for this company, so I say goodbye and go on alone. Their door knocker is made of brass, unreasonably warm brass. It is shaped like the head of a goat. The attendant is human enough, but she refuses to answer any questions. I wait in a very old-fashioned wooden chair. Keep feeling that the armrests are nipping at my wrists. I am invited inside at last. A member of the constabulary. We do not require your assistance. Milton will see you out. Your eye for detail has failed you, Virginia. Our visitor wears the badge of the Ministry of Accounting and Recounting. I collect this is some official errand. I am Stuart. I go by Milton. I dislike forenames. You may address me as Virginia, or ma'am. Not that I can say I'm delighted to make the acquaintance. I dare say you aren't either. It's the fall that's done it. Can't keep to our old circles these days, can we? They both fall extremely still. I'm not sure that they breathe. You know that the Ministry has sent me to work on the census. Their work is vital for London. You may have mistaken your authority. The masters do not direct us. It will not take long. We are in the middle of a delicate matter. Come now, Virginia. Wouldn't you find it entertaining to learn what the masters are asking? I admit to significant curiosity. Just what does the Ministry hoping to learn about you and me that it doesn't already know? Then ask and be prompt, Stuart. And if this proves a waste of our time, Milton, you will owe me your good hunting horn. There are only a few questions, so don't worry. Who else lives in your household? I reside alone. You have servants. I do, several. I had assumed that they would not be counted as persons. You must trust me on this sort of thing, Virginia. I have had more time to learn London's customs. And you frequently entertain overnight visitors. Never for very long. I have a maidservant, a housekeeper, and 3 drones. Footmen. Yes, footmen. You look too wise to give your heart carelessly, but have you given it at all? Is there anyone waiting for you, or betrothed to you? Ah, an interesting question. Several persons have believed themselves to be romantically attached to me. Will that do? You're not engaged to any of them? Of course not. And not married. That I can safely rule out. Definitely not married. I haven't finished with my census questions. Virginia is a fine name. Fashionable. One tries to accommodate the local culture. That is, one tries until it becomes too much bother. Our friend implies that the name does not distinguish you from the common or garden variety, Virginia. It might benefit from a poetic epithet. Amber-eyed Virginia, for instance. London poets have a taste for that kind of thing. Brass-shod Virginia. You must ensure that it scans. Do not write that down. Virginia of the Cloven Hoof. Definitely not. Pity. I go on with the census. The census asks me to record whether you are in love or married. I have no romantic involvements that you need report to your employers. Silence falls. No doubt you employ yourself in a variety of interesting ways. I am a gentleman of leisure, though I have devoted myself to cultivation of the arts. Do come again sometime, Doctor. That leaves time for another errand today. Virginia. Okay, let's take the census with Phoebe. The badge will eliminate any expectation of a social visit, at any rate. Are you here to see me, then? I don't receive visitors, as a rule. But perhaps they won't take official notice. It's not as if I entertain much. The Ministry of Accounting and Recounting have asked me to work on the census. Phoebe shows no enthusiasm for the ministry. What should I put down about your romantic attachments? For the census, that is. I'm not married. It's not easy when you're in service. The household might not like you having gentlemen callers. For a moment, no one speaks. Goodbye. I should take myself off. At this point, I go back to Horatia's. Get up, Archie. Aren't you always warning us about a lack of nutrition? Ah, I'm sorry, Horatia. Cooked as well as anyone could do. No need to tell me that. What are you brooding on, then? It's thinking on my mother. If she thinks I was killed, it'll be terrible for her art. Someone else is probably on the surface, worried sick about their mother in London. Someone that maybe you're helping here. Archie briefly squeezes my hand. So I get out of this hole in the ground at last, and all the way back up to Glasgow, and find she's passed a grave before I got there. Positively Greek. I've told you before, you should ask Greece to help you. Ask me for what? I've told you before, I can't set off the masters. They can't be doing little favours here and there and everywhere. Do you know how many people live in London? No, my duck, I don't. Nor do you either, or you wouldn't need this census. My mother begged me not to come all the way to London. She said I could study just as well in Glasgow. Or if I had to go away, then no further than Edinburgh. There are plenty of physicians there training. It was me that chose to put the distance. Why did you do that, then? My mother is a saint, the kind that suffocates ya. Not that I mean to say a word against her. She went through a good deal with my father at that. He was nae saint, not by a long chalk. I chew diligently. There are no more mushrooms on my plate. Day 263. No new goals. We now have Milton, patron of the arts, has his own bachelor establishment and a range of temporary companions. Census filler. I have extracted what Mr. Page has wanted to know, more or less. Day 263. Confessions. I met Milton at the Devil's Townhouse. I tried to make Milton respect me in the name of the ministry, but I don't think it worked. Milton showed less reserve than usual. I finished taking the census with Milton. Phoebe. Housekeeper. Lives in. Not walking out with anyone. Skeptical census filler. I have extracted what Mr. Page has wanted to know. Virginia. Occupation. Unknown. Keeps a selection of servants but no companions. Might be heartbroken if she had a heart. Pined for surface. Day 264. 9 days remain in confessions. Another morning. Another newspaper. This morning's lies open on the table. Parliament buildings visible in river. All parliamentarians feared drowned. If I am not too occupied otherwise, I can always ask my friends and acquaintances whether there's anything they need from me. They may have some additional tasks for me. And with that, I believe I will call it for tonight. Thank you for watching. I have been James, and the game has been Mask of the Rose. If you would like to watch me play